Hopefully today I've got your permission to give it to you straight rather than sugarcoat it. So this is staying motivated with the masters. A successful person realizes his personal responsibility for self-motivation. He starts with himself because he possesses the key to his own ignition switch. So many of us today are trained by the media, by our parents, by our schools, by our culture to have limiting, if not possible, it's not possible, I do not deserve it, beliefs. Early conditioning is often ingrained. It takes the continual external motivation to overcome decades of negative effects that move more towards more success-orientated thoughts and attitudes. We're constantly bombarded all our life with set presets from our birth up to the point where we're set free. And at that point, somebody's actually put a glass lid on us to say, this is how far you can get. And that's your external factors round about you. The key is to actually learn to take this glass lid off and jump out of the jar. Attending a weekend workshop isn't enough. Neither is reading a book or watching a training video. What truly successful people do is listen to daily and audio programs from the world's most renowned and motivational masters in the car, at home, at office, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day. What do you think I'm doing just now? The average person commutes 30 minutes each way to and from work each day. It's in 5 years, listen, in 5 years, that's 1,250 hours in the car. That's enough time to give yourself the equivalent of a college education in any podcast you're listening to at that time. That is unproductive time that you've just now used to accelerate your performance in any field you want. Whether you're commuting by car or a train or riding a bike or going for a run, listening to an audio or video recordings can give you the edge that you need to excel in virtually any area of your life. You can keep yourself motivated, learn a language, learn a management skills, learn sales and marketing skills, learn better communication skills, learn about holistic health and more. And you even discover the secrets of the world's most powerful industrialists, business titans, real estate moguls, and entrepreneurs. So just how motivating the masters can be in your life. So it all started, here's a story here. It all started when co-worker Elaine Foss asked for help in fundraising for a Fort Lewis family support group in Washington. But between working full-time and finishing her BA, Elaine had no extra time to spare, to spend in the kitchen, making something for the group's up-and-coming bake sale. Instead, she opted to quickly make a bottle and brightly hued homemade dressing salad for which she perfected a recipe 2 decades earlier. Packaging her batch raspberry dressing into recycled sterilised bottles, Elaine added a cute label and topped the bottles with a raffia ribbon. Almost overnight, orders started to pour in. For the next 18 months, Elaine earned money for the troops by selling her dressing at additional bazaars and bake sales. Knowing she had a high-end niche product was the great tasting low calories, plus free of dairy, soy, salt, gluten, preservatives, and additives. She reasoned that her salad dressing, was ready for the larger market. In fact, she dreamed of starting a business beginning to take form. But before Elaine took the plunge, she wanted to test the waters even further by selling at a large farmers market in Washington and also Oregon, more than 2 hours drive in each direction. She said, maybe I can use the road time to gain an insight on how to grow and expand my business. In her search for the audiobook, she discovered the success principles of Jack Canfield. After listening to the first disc, she was hooked. Each time she left for the driveway for a long trek, she'd pop the disc into the player, and by the time she reached the market, she'd be re-energized completely. More often than not, however, the weather in Washington and Oregon made standing in the tent miserable. Torrential rains blew in, 101-degree temperatures heated the pavement, self-doubt, fright, and exhaustion sometimes crept in. This is important while you keep your nutrition and your health right, because it can actually affect your mind. But so did the lessons she learned from the success principles in the process. Lessons like feel the fear and do it anyway, visualizing, act as if, and going the extra mile. She knew and understood the things that were happening to her had happened to everybody else that was successful before her, and understood how to overcome it as a result of learning on these CDs that she had listened to on the way, the 2 hours and 2 hours there and 2 hours back. So she was getting an education at the same time with unproductive time she would otherwise use of listening to the radio. Yeah, listening to the radio's all right, but does it actually push you on further in your life? Does it make you successful? Possibly not. It's enjoyable at the time, but that's about it. Instead of giving up, Elaine put all those principles into action, created beautiful displays. She put up the great signage. She added fresh flowers to her table. She greeted every potential customer with a positive attitude and a smile. And each time her drive to the market took her past the Whole Foods market, she'd tell herself, my product is going to be on those shelves one day. Sometimes she'd even stop and walk inside the aisles and repeat out loud in her positive affirmation voice, in the face of so much competition. Although she didn't know exactly how she was going to get the dressings in the Whole Foods, Elaine knew that she didn't want to go into debt, hire a broker, or pay for shelf space. Instead, she expanded her line to include blueberry, cranberry, and marnberry salad dressings, as well as organic versions of each one, all the while focusing on her Whole Foods dream. This is bringing the laws of attraction, by the way. As soon as she negotiated distribution for more than a dozen of the stores and was increasing online sales too, and then it happened, a message on her answer machine. This is Denise from Whole Foods, corporate office in Bellevue. I hear you've got a product we might be interested in. It had worked. It actually worked. Elaine thought to herself, all those principles paid off. When the Whole Foods invited her to an audition, her dressings, Elaine set up everything she needed to make a good impression, and she handed the food sample to Denise. She confided, seeing my dressings on Whole Foods is my goal and my dream, she said to Denise. Denise's eyes widened as she tasted Elaine's dressings. Oh my gosh. And you have 7 flavors? Elaine's dressings now stand proudly on the shelves of all the Washington and Oregon Whole Foods stores, with distribution in California under discussion. Now, of course, motivation is not permanent, but neither is bathing, but it's something you should do on a regular basis. So where do you go for this information? Well, current people. For me, it's Dale Carnegie. It's Napoleon Hill. It's Zig Ziglar. It's Jack Canfield. It's Bob Proctor. It's Anthony Robbins. It's Richard Branson. People that have been successful in areas which I would like to be successful. Customer service. Richard Branson, that's why I do that. Alan Sugar, real estate. All these different things. The McDonald's Corporation. Jim Collins, Good to Great, talks about the greatest companies in the world and how the 10 companies in the world that are greatest at their service and how they've taken the leap from where they were to where they wanted to be, and how that happened as a result of their mindset and their focus. But remember, motivation, as you break it down, is a motive for action. That's all you're doing. Now, external motivation is exactly what's happening. It's the people round about you, it's the spurring on, it's the music you hear, it's the talk you've been to, it's the seminar you've done. And external motivation is okay, but it only lasts 2 or 3 days after you've been at a seminar. You're up on a high, you're really flying, and you're going, I could do anything, I could conquer the world. But then doubts start to creep in over the next 2 or 3 days after that. And unless you have that internal motivation, you'll never go any further forward, because the external motivation just disappears. It's like putting on a jacket, and eventually it just comes off. That's it, really. So that's how external motivation works. Internal motivation is what you get from reading books, listening to audios, podcasts of this, people that have done it before, reinforcing your decisions and reinforcing your beliefs and your desires, and focusing on that every single day, and putting things on your, pictures on your fridges, pictures on your mirrors, audio tapes in your cars. These are all things that keep that internal motivation going. The most important thing is you have to have a goal and a desire and a dream. You'll either be pulled by your dreams or you're pushed by your circumstances. It is one or the other. If you have neither, you will never do anything. And I'll